And now, to give the charge to the class of 2017, I am pleased to introduce an amazing captain of the shipping industry and a passionate leader for change. A woman you will hear more about in a few minutes when we award her her honorary degree. Ms. Karin Olsen, Chief Executive Officer, MF Shipping Group. Ms. Olsen, the podium is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to do something which you don't expect of me, maybe, but I'm going to start with a selfie, if it's fine with you. I already told some people I'm not sure if the Board of Trustees really likes me afterwards, but that's not important. Dear guests, President, Board of Trustees, faculty members, graduates, and family members. And of course, the most important people here in the audience, that's all, everybody here on the first line. I'm very honored to be here today, and everybody's talking about the weather, but I'm from the Netherlands, so I'm actually grateful because this is my kind of weather. So after the tour we had yesterday, I really wanted to start with something else, and that's saying I really understand why you chose this academy, because the minute I entered here yesterday, it felt like really a warm bath. Very positive atmosphere, and I've been questioned by two of the cadets about about almost everything they could think of, except my I would say PIN code of my bank number. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history, and I would start with if you have asked me 23 years ago, or have told me 23 years ago, that I would have been an entrepreneur owning several vessels and several companies, ship management companies, I would most probably have looked at you with a big question mark on my face or smiling at you and saying, yeah, for sure. And I'm saying this because I know that the average of you actually has the same age in which I started my company. But unlike all of you, I didn't have a maritime academy education, nor a link to water at all, besides the fact that I was a pretty good swimmer, although I say it myself. When I turned 18, I, by coincidence, started working as a bookkeeping in a ship management company, and on my 23rd, it turned out that the owners of the company overplayed their hands, and instead of continuing working for a shipping company, a very flourishing company, they headed into a bankruptcy, leaving me with a couple of options. Either I could start my own business, or remain within the industry or outside of the industry as an employee. And I decided to go for the first and take a huge jump into the deep. But face new challenges, and that was something which I hadn't had to deal with either, because the banks didn't believe in me. So I had to find some way of funding the company. However, I'm a true believer that challenges make us stronger, more inventive, and keep us think outside of the box. I've learned the most from the mistakes I've made in my life, and I must admit that my gut feeling, although that's sometimes people say it's a typical female thing, but my gut never failed me. All in all, that has been 23 years ago, and from an obvious, very shy startup, our company now has a fleet of 60 vessels, chemical and product tankers, cement carriers, dry bulk vessels, trading globally with approximately 1,000 seafarers from 13 different nationalities. I find it very important to take my responsibility, and I think everything starts with yourself. It's easy to disagree or to complain or whine. I think that's a lot of people have that within themselves. But I think it's better to be proactive and engage yourself. And that's something I already experienced here from a couple of you. So, And another thing which has been highlighted briefly is that I find it very important to attract a new generation for the maritime industry. You chose your career path, but within Europe, my place of birth, or within the Netherlands, it's very difficult to find people to come to the maritime academies because our industry is very unknown. So what we, for instance, had to do, or did, is to give a traineeship and actually job guarantee in order to attract youngsters again back in the industry. And my captains actually go to, what is it you call, I think, nursery schools to engage the young people and try to make sure that every boy and girl wants to be a sea captain. You might think, especially here in the front row, nice, all these stories, but what is the tip for me and how can I build a successful career? Or what's the golden tip everybody's looking for? I think if I knew that, I wouldn't be standing here, but I would be on a remote island diving. So I think all of you have to find your own way in life and your own path to follow. And make mistakes. It's nothing wrong to make a mistake because you learn the most of it. And what works for one individual doesn't work for the other. So it's very up to yourself. What I do know, though, is that you are about to enter an industry which is very close to my heart, but which is the most vibrant, exciting, and constantly changing industry which you can think of. We are taking, as an industry, our responsibility. And responsibility, and I'm thinking of global heating. What can we do about it? We try to protect our oceans as much as we can, and there's a lot of challenges for which we actually need you. And I'm just going to name a few, like what about energy efficiency? Are we going to trade with low sulfur? And what if it's not available? What about ballast water management systems, especially trading here in the US? It's quite different, so as a ship owner, I'm looking at it and think, okay, am I going to invest $500,000 for one vessel, trading to the US, and then might have to discover that it's actually not the right system? But I think there's some nice challenges as well. Everybody talks about blockchain, or automation, or how to deal with digitalization. And the list goes on and on and on, but it also means that we need to constantly improve our knowledge and skills. And I'm convinced that the studies you have followed here at the Academy in the STEM fields, as well as the officers and engineers, you have an incredible good basis to start with, and we actually need you. And in my humble opinion, you all have a very bright future ahead of you. I really wish you the best of luck. And in case of any questions, you can always send me an email. And I'm 24/7, 365 days a year. So please reach out to me. And I wanted to end with a very short quote of one of my favorite singers in the world. And that's a very short one, and it's Tina Turner. And I would say to everybody of you, you are the best.